So my name is Dustin White. I am in the Doctorate of Ministry program at Ashland Theological Seminary. I'm an alum of Ashland with a MAPT degree, and I'm a church planner and pastor in Canton, Ohio. I pastor a church called Radial, which is a network of house churches in the Summit neighborhood, and also I'm involved with several nonprofits here in our community. And so we were just sharing life with our neighbors. We were serving and engaging in missional activity out of the very fabric of really doing life together. And we started to realize that a lot of our neighbors were in financially vulnerable situations. They were navigating how to walk out of poverty, not because they had a lack of employment or reckless spending that a lot of people think of. That this diverse neighborhood, many of the neighbors here were actually in poverty because of a lack of ownership of space. And so this really formed the bedrock of my studies with the doctoral ministry program at Ashland. The faculty, the staff helped me think of developing a theology of space and why space matters profoundly for human flourishing. So creating opportunities to have ownership of space, houses, commercial spaces, community spaces. This was really the bedrock of human flourishing within our context here in Canton, Ohio. So within the Doctorate of Ministry program, there are 6 courses. 3 of them are kind of core courses that every student takes to help integrate, again, just a broader sense of what God is doing in their context. And I think through biblical principles and leadership principles, missional and community engagement principles. But the other 3 courses really were crafted in such a way, in my own experience, that it was specifically for our ministry context. So what I love about the D-Min program at Ashland is that it's not something that's over and above what I find myself doing, but it's actually right integrated, woven in, just actually sewn into the day-to-day ministry that God has us in here in Canton. So these 3 other courses have been creating vocational opportunities for people to flourish. It's been thinking about the integration of race and space. It's been thinking about how do we actually have a robust understanding for cities and how urbanization affects ministry, which it does profoundly, and we again have experienced that in our own ministry. But thinking through that with those courses, actually the faculty being willing to contextualize, to tweak courses in such a way so that it fits exactly with where God has us, it's just been remarkable. There's this kind of, I say this in a tongue-in-cheek way, but we accidentally planted a church. We had begun, my wife Jamie and I had begun our time at Ashland Theological Seminary in the master's program, both of us. And we're kind of discerning a call to church planting, but not really sure if that's really where we're wanting to get into. We simply wanted to love our neighbors deeply and love our neighbors well. And so we started having meals Sunday nights at our house. And that's primarily what it was. It started to be an opportunity for us to meet our neighbors, to hear their stories. And then over time that grew into some pretty deep spiritual conversations that were happening. We would have focused times of prayer. We would explore scripture together. We would have bilingual worship with one another. And this started to grow. And so these neighbors and friends that were coming to our house to experience this thing happening, eventually one of the profs at Ashland said, you've already planted a church. We're wrestling through this. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to. And I hate to burst your bubble, but you already did. Maybe what we can do is come alongside you to help create some framework so that it can actually expand beyond itself. And so one house became 2 houses, 2 became 3, 3 became 4. And these house churches and missional communities within one specific neighborhood in Canton began to expand. And out of that, several different ministries evolved from there. One was a community coalition called Somos, specifically walking alongside of immigrants and refugees here in our community, providing aid, accompaniment, advocacy. Another nonprofit that emerged is called Flourish 44703. Again, thinking through the integration of the access to space being a foundational caveat for human flourishing. And so we began to buy abandoned houses, buy houses that were formerly run by predatory landlords, and then just completely rehabbing the houses, actually practicing resurrection in a way that we could then have an alternative model to provide homeownership to people. We began to look at the acquisition of commercial spaces to do small business incubators, community spaces. So again, thinking through those things. And so those are some of the different ministries that we're involved in. We have one of our missional communities is a group of artists that participate in the Flourishing Arts community that's here in Canton. Another group rides on bicycles, actually with grills and with food and things like that, and kind of sets up to do a mobile cookout throughout the neighborhood. So wherever our neighbors are at and wherever our neighbors are spiritually or geographically distant from God, his mission, his people, we want to be able to meet them there. So I think there's a misnomer that has kind of been woven into the broader church culture that to consider a doctoral ministry program that you have to be a pastor, you have to be full-time in pastoral ministry. And I just, in my own experience with the courses I've taken, with the classmates that I've interacted with and built relationships with, that's just not the case at all. If you are trying to connect God's mission in whatever your vocation and whatever your location may be, then a doctorate of ministry program is for you. And from my experience, I don't think there's any program better than Ashland's because of how willing the staff, the faculty, the institution, the broader Ashland community is to help you integrate it with whatever your context is. And so whether you're in the corporate world, whether you are in a formalized ministry world, working in the nonprofit, anything really, the DMin program at Ashland is for you.